as our freelance photographer and videographer, very talented and well-known one in Cebu. How does it feel like to be in the opposite role now, in front of the camera versus behind the scenes like you're always used to?
This is such a day.
Get a Clue.
A Thinker's Podcast.
Hi, Zeke.
Hello, ladies.
It's nice to see you and have you here in front of the camera.
I want to welcome you. Thank you for guesting in this episode.
It's nice to be so busy, but you have a mic, and I'm also adjusting the levels.
Truly an episode about multitasking because as creatives, that's what we do.
We
Multitasking,
don't have a choice. We have to.
Right?
showing what's behind the scenes. Well, Zeke is basically doing what he always does behind the scenes, even now while we're shooting this podcast.
I know. But
I've always wanted to try, like, because there are podcast episodes on YouTube. Na the producer is also the host and also the editor, so he's like super busy and still like paying attention to people talking. So I
Yeah.
shall try.
so today's going to be that challenge then.
This is such a day.
Are you going to take on that challenge? I think you already have.
Yes, but Joe Rogan, I am not. So I shall try my best.
I should probably introduce you
Go.
first to our guest. And actually, I saved this story to tell to Mish for the first time of how Zeke and I actually know each other. I don't know if you know this, maybe you do. But Zeke and I actually first met when we were spin instructors at a spin studio in Cebu. Did you know that?
You mentioned it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was actually just thinking about it when I was reflecting on this episode and what we'd kind of tackle.
Mm.
But that experience of actually being on that platform as a spin instructor, as a coach, actually made me very more comfortable being on a stage. And previously, I used to always hide behind the camera, you know, being a producer, being a director to commercials also. And it's so interesting how now we have taken the front seat and now we're in front of the camera. And so Zeke, as our freelance photographer and videographer, very talented and well-known one in Cebu, how does it feel like to be in the opposite role now, in front of the camera versus behind the scenes like you're always used to?
Disclaimer, ha? Not the best, not the just busy lang. So, actually also, I think we first met on events way before we met at Zane.
Did we?
Yes, because there were a lot of you know how those Z lifestyle coverage things.
Yes.
Because I would, before being a spin instructor, I used to shoot events, so cover lang.
And that's where you started. When did you know that that's what you wanted to do?
Good
When did you
question.
want to know that you're like, hey, did you just wake up one day and was just like, I'm going to be a photographer? I don't think that happens because the camera is a big investment.
Yeah.
That's true. But growing up, kasi I try Tagalog. Growing up kasi, ganito yun. No,
Ganito yarn.
growing up, my mom used to collect a lot of National Geographic na, the actual prints ba? So National Geographic, a lot of them, tons of them. So I would take my uncle's camera and then try to follow or like or duplicate or replicate the, like, oh, I saw a nice shot of a tiger, so I'll shoot a cat like that. And then,
Cute. Okay.
yeah, so that's where it all started. But I guess professionally, it started when, I guess, college. Na just took up a camera and then relatives would hire me to like, can you take a photo of my son's birthday? Like, sure. Like, I've been taking photos already, so why not? And then after the event or after like the party, they would hand me like 500 pesos or like 1,000 pesos. And then
That's when
What?
it hit you.
You can make money out of this?
business opportunity. So I just kept doing it. And then,
Yeah.
what is it now? 8 years later, here we are.
8 years.
So you really
That's
started
been
in
a long
events.
Also, in college, there, like early 2015s, 2009s, and 2010s, there were a lot of like events in like Handurao or like Koa Treehouse. So my free access. So this is a tip for all the people out there.
Kabalo ko, kasabot ko, ana.
So my free access was talking to some of the organizers and like, Stu, need photos of your event. Like,
yeah.
I'm your man. I'm your dude. I'm your chong. So,
Yeah.
So like, sige, come in. So they would let me in for free, and then I take photo. Just send them whatever I have. It's also, I didn't realize that it was good networking.
Yeah.
It was like,
So that's when the XD life started.
yes. Whenever they had future events, like, who are we getting for our photos? Let's contact that nerdy dude.
Nerdy budget. Yeah.
Let's contact that nerdy dude. Just get him in for free, and then events. Eventually, getting into Z Lifestyle, to cover Z Lifestyle and even Sunstar every now and then to assist, and then siguro just somewhere down the road, the people being featured in said magazines or newspaper would contact me directly. It's like, can you do like a feature for me? Like just personal lang. And then it grew from there. So I just decided like I should just do this full time.
Started expanding your network through doing X deals.
Yes.
Was
Basically.
it hard for you to say no eventually, as you started really earning from your craft?
It was hard for me to transition good from free to like
Money.
give me some money.
Yeah. But they say, right? They say you pick a career where you're willing to do it without the monetary payment first.
Yeah, I heard somewhere na, which is what I try to practice now. Photography and videography is passion first and profession second. And then a lot would argue na you can't make your passion your profession. It's like it's gonna ruin the love of the thing.
And the
ba?
creativity.
Honestly, that's how I felt about spinning. I was so passionate about spinning first, but then when it became my profession, I hated it.
You were batch 2?
I was a very first. I was a very
Batch
first
1.
batch. But through that experience, yeah, I also got to explore my creativity.
How did that start?
Spinning.
Oh, how the tables have turned. So how did you start your spinning career?
Well, I think, okay, I will say in the context of where I am today, because through that, when you're talking about X deals, I actually got to first use my marketing side as a freelancer back then also to do the branding and marketing
For
and
Zinc.
social media for Zinc at that time. So I was a coach and I was also running their socials, which back then I didn't even have Clou yet. So I was still a freelancer back then. And now what is even the difference? Like, that's the thing. I even ask you that. Like, I introduced you as a freelancer, but you yourself, you also have Panganod Productions.
Yes, yeah.
Correct?
It
Did I say
start-
that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what panganod means?
No. Is that
I don't know
Tagalog?
what
Is that
that means.
Bisaya?
My goodness.
That's a Bisaya.
It's Bisaya term for cloud.
Cloud?
Cloud.
Yeah.
Clue?
Which is why like it
Why
makes-
panganod?
The concept was if you look at clouds, so you can really shape them in whatever form you want to. It just depends on your
Do you see my eyes right now? How
Mm.
shook I am?
in your imagination ba. So what I try to explain to clients is that some clients will say, sure, we want something like this. As long as you can imagine it, or like we can try to do that. So the limitation of our projects is with your imagination and your budget. So that's why I really wanted a Bisaya term to represent ba.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So that's
actually,
you
this
have
is the
a
true
full-
collab.
You have a full team with you.
It's just me, but I have
Okay.
a list of people who can help me if ever the project gets bigger than what I can handle. Like I can hire
Yeah.
an extra shooter or a PA or a whole team. Bali.
Mhm.
So we're a team of freelancers.
Mm.
I think that's the landscape in Cebu nowadays.
I mean, I
guess.
think
It's like
likewise with you,
collaborations.
right? I think I tap you and other freelancers depending on the scope of the project. And you're right, I think, when you say that is the landscape of Cebu, where we're such a small community of creatives. At least in my head, okay? Small also in comparison to a lot of bigger cities. But
That's true.
we are a small pool of freelancers, so the best route is to kind of come together and collaborate in different projects.
That's true. I'm not saying other cities aren't doing that. I can only speak for Cebu because that's where I operate the
Yeah,
most.
yeah.
But what happens in our city is that since everybody is known for their own thing, so
Mm-hmm.
let's say person A is good at this, and a client just really wants that person,
Yes.
and he needs a good team. So like,
Mm.
he just asks his friends like, "Do
Yeah.
can you help me?"
It's really just what Jude said, our guest from the last episode. Like, it's really a collaborative, creative, collaborative
A space for just helping each other out.
work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I know that I've asked you this before because you've started to dive into not just photography but videography as well.
Yes.
But which one would you pick? Like, what's your niche?
Photography is the job for the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Videography is the job for the bank.
Yes. But how has that changed these days? Because I think that's where I find myself having to not justify, maybe justify is actually the right word, but justify myself to a lot of my clients that I work with because everybody with a smartphone these days can call themselves a photographer and a videographer rightfully.
Sure.
Content creators.
Sure.
So to you, what makes or what is the difference between calling yourself an actual photographer and videographer with the quality of a camera versus iPhone or smartphone photography and videography?
You know, this is a very more triggering topic for me because I've been
Oh, should
doing
we put our feet up?
Yeah, you can.
I'm
Talk,
ready. Okay.
you can talk more about it.
Yeah.
No, let me explain. Because, so I started mga 2013, 2014, no? So almost 10 years. But it took me mga 2019 lang or 2020 to actually call myself like a photographer or a videographer. Like I really didn't want the title, but like do I deserve that? I don't think am I enough to call myself that?
So, what did you used to call yourself then?
I just saying Mom, I do photos and videos,
Yeah,
ma'am.
that actually
Ah.
really shocks me because I've known you for more than that. You know, and to me, you've always been that. So it kind of, I don't know, it hurts me in a way that you think you didn't deserve that title.
It's a what do you there's a syndrome thing.
Imposter
Imposter
syndrome,
syndrome.
Yeah. So
which we've talked about
Which we've
before
talked about
also.
before.
I've always felt like everything is just chance ba, like it's
Mm.
in Bisaya we call it taghap, so it's all just kanang a
Tag-
streak of luck.
Mhm.
Like without that, like you're nothing. Like I'm afraid people will figure out na it's not that good. Like
Mm.
I can do that.
Mm.
It's always on my mind. Yun.
Yeah.
So when did you start gaining confidence?
The
And yeah,
pandemic.
yeah?
pandemic.
Yeah.
What
Wow.
exactly about, was there a moment where did you just wake up one day and you were like, yes,
I'm a
I am Zeke,
photographer.
the photographer and videographer?
I'ma call myself this.
Yeah.
No. It also was in line with registering panganod.
Mhm.
Mainly because during the pandemic you can't go out if you don't have like a company ID or you don't have like a business permit.
Mm.
So I was forced to like, damn, I should register the business already just so I have the papers.
Yeah.
So when I had the papers already, it kind of gave me like the confidence like, I'm paying for BIR, I'm paying for all this shit. I can start calling myself like I'm a photographer. Maybe not shout it out to the world like
Yes.
photographer me.
Yeah.
Then-
You know, that's so funny because I was just talking about this with another artist. I was saying that truly when I went to film school, I didn't really need to, but it was that piece of paper that gave me the confidence to call myself a filmmaker. And so she was explaining to me that her son, who's also an aspiring photographer, videographer, that's what she hoped for him, just so he had not just the confidence, because it does something for you. Like, even if it's a piece of paper like that, like,
It's shallow, no, but it works.
it is,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like a societal thing also
It
because
is a societal thing.
it's another hurdle to overcome
It's,
mentally.
it's like
I
a
think.
diploma ba?
Yes.
Which sometimes I forget nga I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Especially in the creative industries.
Yeah.
And I think especially as a business owner, right? Like it's still somewhat of a societal expectation that you have that piece of paper or you're legitimate to make
Yeah.
yourself like
That's a good term, legitimate.
a actual business owner. See, that's a difference.
It
Like
adds credibility.
yes.
To what we
Yun.
do.
Credibility, yes.
Yeah.
Do you think though, like in the Philippine or local landscape, because I always had, I think, what I would call a limiting belief that there is some kind of or more credibility for something that's earned outside of the Philippines? Or do you feel like locally, like it matters, like what school you go to, like what certificate you have, or is that all an internal battle in how you think about yourself?
I think it's not a black and white thing. It's a percentage thing. To some degree, it helps to have like that paper,
Mm.
but at the same time, it's also how much you believe in yourself, which I struggle also with myself. With the shots I have sometimes, like, is this good enough? Like,
Mm.
is the client gonna like this? Because there's a lot of shots that I take, and then for me it's just shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
client would say like, "Oh, we love it!" Like, "Oh my god,
Is
how?"
it true that beauty is in the eye of the beholder?
I actually agree.
Yeah.
I think I really understand where Zeke is coming from, especially from the creative point of view, because we all go through that imposter syndrome. We all go through that, ups and downs of, believing in oneself. But I want to add that where we are now, in our society, it's also very important for clients, prospective clients, that we have the experience
That's true.
to back up our credibility.
Yeah.
And
They say actually, right? It's actually the number of hours that you put into an
Yeah.
actual job that makes you a master in what you
yeah,
do.
right. You have to
And-
be a master of something
Yeah.
than a jack of all trades. I
That's
always
the
believe in that.
10,000
Yeah.
hours thing, di ba?
But isn't that a shortcut?
Yes, I know the
To be-
sumpay to that.
What's a sumpay? Go dabe.
The
Ikaw
continuation.
Go.
So, a jack of all trades. Well, how did you start?
Jack of all trades.
Um,
master of-
I always believe that I'd rather be a master of something than
Than a
being a
jack
jack
of
of
all
all trades. Like, you really have to perfect your craft.
A master of one, but it's better than being a master of none. Something like that.
Something
right?
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess in today's landscape, then I talked to a producer of a podcast about this now. In LA, LA, huh?
Lahog Apas.
No, like
Or Los Angeles.
like legit LA. So in LA, the producers of a podcast, if you're good at that, sure, that's fine. You'll do great. But during those times, na podcasts are not that like kusog or not that in. You need to know how to light. You need to know how to do audio. You need to know how to do video as well. It's the demand ba of the industry of the landscape. Maybe what you're good at is not the best thing to do right now. So what else can you do?
I think that's a good thing about also starting in Cebu, where we are kind of, we have a landscape of that expectation of being a one-stop shop, because that's
Yeah.
what I feel also taught me how to do everything. Like, I know a little bit of everything. Should I have to be in that point where, like that, like I have to be the one to light, I have to be the one to be behind the camera, right? But I think I start to learn, and this is something I'm still weighing out. I'm learning to ask for help. A.
Kana.
B. I'm learning to delegate also,
Yun.
because also I was watching or listening into this podcast where entrepreneur was saying to be the best leader for her, she wants to be not the dumbest in the room, but she wants to be able to accept the help from the best of the best, and
Yes.
that's what makes her a good leader.
Yeah.
Can we agree na it's good to know bits of things? Like what you said, you can be a master of one, master of marketing or like graphics, sure.
Yeah.
But you know a little bit about lighting, a little bit about this and that and that. So when you do delegate, you know what you want.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when you're the business
Exactly.
owner or the leader.
For me, that comes with the number of hours, though. I remember the first project I ever had with Zeke.
I don't remember.
I remember we went to Sumilon. Do you remember that project?
Sefri.
Yes. So we shot a video, and if I think back at who I was back then, where I was so afraid, to tell people what to do. I know what I wanted in my head, but I was so afraid to assert that.
Okay.
You know, and Crystal at that point, comparing who I was back then to who I am now, I'm more comfortable with like even in our working relationship, right? I trust in your abilities so much, but I also know what I want. And so I am able to better communicate that to you, but also let you do your own craft.
I guess that's a challenge for a lot of people, especially in their working relationships.
Yeah.
Trust me to do my thing, but give me guidelines so I know what not to do, and like just
Mhm.
give me this. That's why a really big part of our jobs is to educate clients as well. Because my worst fear is that just do your thing and then let me see.
Oh,
Yes.
Because
I
That
get
has
that
to
that's
a lot.
one of
be
Yeah.
that could
that
be one
has
of
to
the
be
worst.
really clear.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what if you do the thing
And they
and
don't
then
like
like
it.
They
she
won't like
the
it.
client's like, give me something else.
Yes. And that's where I
No.
think said professionalism comes, because a lot of clients, and I tell my team this, a lot of clients think they know what they want, but until you show them like storyboards, for example, or
Yeah.
like shot lists or frames, and they see it in front of them, that's actually when they realize if what they were imagining is what they want or not.
Is in alignment of what
Yeah.
they want.
Yeah.
I was telling Mish about this actually and just made me think about it. Like the reason or the idea that, when it comes to freelancing in any industry, there are so many talented people.
There are so many.
But
And you get to
why?
learn from them.
Yeah, but why do certain clients or certain people pick each other? And I think it all also comes down to the relationship you build and trust.
Yes.
Because even in deciding on filming this podcast, for example, I trust Zeke. And so, yeah, and so for me, it's like if I want to focus on being in front of the camera, if I want to be 100% here, then I need to have someone on the team who I trust enough with the lighting, with the camera, with the focus, everything like that, because it's one less thing I think about. Versus if I took someone on who I don't have a relationship with yet, then I would be thinking about both,
Mhm.
right? And that would take me out
Yeah.
of what I'm actually here to do, which is to
Same.
carry the conversation.
It's gonna take more of your bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
is he doing it right? Like, is the lighting good?
Yeah.
And it's such a nice feeling when you work on something with the people you trust and then you see your growth together and you learn together because different projects have different learning experiences as well. And I think that's what some don't understand when they try to work by themselves and not get the best
True. But
from the
don't get me wrong,
others.
huh? It also works both ways. So if you have a good relationship with someone and you hire them, you work with them, it's all good if it goes well.
Mm-hmm.
But there are gonna be times na siguro a certain part of the project doesn't go well, or like the whole project doesn't go well. So the disappointment is also
I sense some experience here.
I know.
yeah, because
How did you deal with that then?
I hire a lot of my friends. Because
Yeah.
especially I have a lot of freelancer friends also. Like nothing better to do for that day. Like boiling away. Let's shoot someone. Sounds so wrong. Let's shoot something. Let's shoot.
Yes, I don't know if that's any better.
Let's shoot something.
Yeah.
I have a project and I need help with this. So I guess it takes a lot of maturity to not explode in front of them or like not take it too personally
Mhm.
because again most of the people uh you can't expect people to do what you do exactly ba?
Oh my gosh, you know how many times I think I told Mish this. I'm like, how do you clone me?
How do you kagibonshin and like
Yeah, like,
make many
My
of
clone is
me?
just right here
Yeah.
sitting
Oh,
near
yeah.
me.
But that's really what it is also, and I guess that's also what gives you, okay, I can't speak for you, but for me, I think in finding, we were talking about earlier, finding your confidence in your craft, for me it came when I realized that I really was one of a kind. And I have strengths, so does everybody,
Yeah.
but it took me realizing that, oh, actually not everybody has the same brain as me or thinks the same that I can, to feel more confident about my ability to A, run a business, B, be a leader, C, be a creative.
That's true. If you just hook yourself on the thought na I'm running a business, I cannot eat if I don't make
You're
this work?
gonna be overwhelmed.
You're gonna
Yeah.
find that confidence really quick when you
Yeah, yeah.
realize nga, a lot is at stake if I don't make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for me, going back to the original question, that's where I got my confidence also. I can't put gas in the tank if I don't claim it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have ownership over what you do. But regardless if you feel like you're the best or not, as long as you're delivering or like you're doing a service and people are paying you,
Mm-hmm.
that I guess there was a point in the last 2 years like, yeah, I should really start calling myself this or like
Yeah.
that.
And I think that there's a difference, right? And I think people are starting to realize it now because, like I said, there was a time where everybody can take a picture with their
Yes.
smartphones. But you do see the difference when you actually hire someone on to be a
Yes.
photographer, for example. And
Someone
for
who
me,
really knows his craft.
it goes the same way where so many people, especially in the pandemic, because we had more time and we were just stuck at home, everybody thought they can run their own social media. But now that everything is
Even
back to
until
normal, yeah, and until now still, yeah,
Some people can.
some people can, but exactly. But I think more people are seeing the value in it when you're able to give up that control to have someone else actually
Mm-hmm.
run your social media.
That's true.
And that's for my industry, right? But it goes for every industry.
Going
where-
back to that question also, I guess the difference between like just using your phone or like hiring someone with an actual camera or something. I think you also have to know your market. If you feel like
Yes.
your market is like okay na nila nga, okay, it looks, let's say you're selling cookies.
Mhm.
You don't need the highest end camera to like
Mm.
take a photo of a cookie. Or maybe you do. Depends on your market. So
Yeah.
if your market just accepts, okay, looks legit enough for me,
Yeah.
I'll do that. But in contrast, you can't, well, some people can. But if you're taking photos of, let's say, a property, let's say a condo, like you can use your phone.
Yeah.
Some people still do that, and it works for them. But for some people also, like they really want a certain type of quality. I guess you just have to align yourself. Na you don't have to take everyone on.
Mhm.
Yes.
Choose a segment, and then focus on them.
Yes.
For the people who just want and are okay with the phones, maybe that's not your, at least for me, maybe that's not my market because they can already do that.
Mhm.
And what the hell do you need me for then? So
I can't get Zeke as a client na because he already knows how to market segment.
Yeah.
don't forget, I have a diploma in
Oh.
business.
Huh?
I think that was there's a 3-letter thing: is segment, target, oh no, position, segment, and target. PST, I guess. So position yourself in a certain way. You find the segment that you best work in,
You want to
and then
position
target the
yourself.
people.
Mhm.
STP din, sorry. Sorry, miss, my professors. You segment. Segment first.
Segment,
Segment
target,
first.
and then position.
You target which one you're going for, and then you
Yes.
position yourself in a way na like they would,
Position yourself.
yeah, position yourself in a way that you would be attractive to them.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I like this kid's work, even though he may not be the best, but I like it.
You know what? It makes me think also because now that you've revealed your trade secrets, it makes sense to me now how you've positioned yourself also online as your own
Yeah.
content creator also. And that's something that we discuss a lot
No?
about, right? Like having your own personal brand as Zeke and then having like Ezekiel, the photographer, or like Panganod Productions.
Which is weird, but yeah, because I don't market myself directly,
Which is marketing.
which is marketing also. Everything is marketing.
Yeah.
Everything is marketing.
That is a. Yeah.
I don't market myself like, hire me, please.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. But I don't even have ads for myself. But I guess I read somewhere that you attract the clients that buy the work that you put out.
Yes.
So let's say I recently had
Mhm.
someone. I don't do weddings because that's a totally different segment,
Yeah. Yes.
and I don't know how to do weddings. But lately, I've been doing a lot of reels, like on the day reels.
Mm.
So someone contacted me like, "Sure, can you do reels for my wedding?" Like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like the reels that you do, ba? Like, okay, so I guess the type of work that you put out there's some people who are attracted to that, and siguro that's a marker of what you could be pursuing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think that's why, like, my team asked me also, they're like, Miss, how come you don't advertise, like, your service on Clou social media, for example, right? I don't straight up say we offer social media management, but I show you. And so, with the real edits that we make, the trends that we hop on, whatever content we share, that is our portfolio. So, it's not a direct sell.
It's like being organic lang, like,
Yeah.
This is what we do.
But it's that, like, say we hopped on the trend on TikTok this week,
Wes Anderson.
the Wes Anderson trend.
Yeah,
Then a client of mine
noticed.
messaged and was just like, can you teach us how to do that for our brand? So that's how I translate into clients. How about you for Thinker?
For me, I told you about this already. Like, it's a struggle because most of our work is done behind the scenes, and so there's really nothing specific that you can touch or you can see,
Yes.
unless if we're doing events on socials, on our IG account. I always message Cree, what do I post? I don't want to be out there, but I also want people to understand that this is what we're doing.
That's a
So,
struggle, no?
It is
Yeah.
because we are the thinker. Like, we
Yeah.
do all the strat. So I can't just say na, hey, we're doing strat for this client. It's not.
Exactly.
It's like hambog ba, and I don't want to do that.
You think it's a Cebu thing?
No, I think I'm just lucky that because of the work that me and my team put out, the referrals have been coming in. But it's also different when people get to appreciate what you do
Like a tangible.
online,
Yeah.
Okay.
because that's where everyone is,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's still a struggle until now.
No, I think, and if you think about, because in the same way, I also don't really showcase who my clients are. But for me, that's because I want to keep kind of the mystery. Because what if you find out that, oh, behind all of these brands is actually Christelle, and it takes away the appeal or like
The
the
magic.
character of the brand when you realize that, oh, it's actually not the brand talking, right?
For me, for what I know, you're safe in that area because not a lot of people get to that point of realization. Like, if let's say brand A is releasing content, people will really believe that brand A is the one behind that content. They don't really know about agencies or like social media companies, or
Yeah.
even if they do, they're still gonna think, okay,
This brand is releasing this.
yeah, they
content.
streamlined these marketing things just for that brand, so it's still them.
Well, I guess that is a different perspective.
But I get your point now.
Yeah.
Like, so that's Christelle, and that's also Christelle. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I mean, and I think about that even for Thinker. But there's so much value in the actual messaging part.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I would actually love to continue to shed more light on and to highlight. And that's why we have this podcast,
Yes.
right? Because the people who are comfortable in front of the camera, that's generally not us. You know,
Definitely not us.
And so we wanted to start
Really?
this podcast. Yeah.
Really?
yeah.
We wanted to start this podcast to get the people who are usually behind the scenes to start talking. Because, like, for example, if you put it in the grand scheme of like a movie, right? Like, it's the actors
Or in
that
front,
represent the movie. That's who you see.
yeah. Mhm.
That's who do like the press and the interviews. But who receives the award?
That's true.
If you win an Emmy or a Grammys music. But you know, it's the producer. We're all the behind the scenes, the producer, the director, the cameraman, the lighting, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those people
It's nice to
don't
put a
get
face.
to-
It's nice to put a face on those jobs, ba?
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, not a lot of people know what Wes Anderson looks like.
You know, I had to Google it.
True.
I had to Google
Wes
what
Anderson.
does Wes Anderson trend?
Because at first I imagined he'd be like a big tall guy, like a cowboy hat or something. But when I googled him, also like huh, it's not what I expected.
Yeah, and it's so like even as a photographer, your job is to kind of be a fly on the wall.
Mm.
Yes.
And I remember talking to you about this before when we were first discussing, I think, what we were wearing to a shoot, and you were telling me you always wear black because it kind of more camouflages you more. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, and I've learned the more
The
technical one.
lighting.
So
Yeah.
black, I wear black a lot of times, and my friends are witnesses to this, because one, it's slimming,
Okay.
and two, during productions, black is the least reflective color.
Mm.
So if you shoot in a lot of like reflective surfaces, you won't see the cameraman, or like you
Mm.
don't see the guy who's directing and everything.
Mhm.
And then
Unless if your face is very oily. Joke.
that's true. That's true. Ayaw, Mitch. And also
Wag
black
ito.
is just it doesn't go out of style.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out for the people out there, like, why is he always wearing black?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, that's part of your personal brand also, right? But that's why I also was so excited to have you on as a freelancer, because you're always the one behind the scenes. But now I wanted people to put a face to you also. I'm sure people know your face, but also for
So-
people to hear your story.
Some of you may not like the face, but just stay with the content.
You know
Same.
what amazes me about Zeke is he's a creative, but he doesn't act like a creative.
Oh,
He's
stop
so,
it, you.
He's so out. You're so out there. You're like very outgoing.
It goes
Right.
back to what Christelle said about being an instructor,
It helped.
because you're forced
So
to like
all of those moments led up
talk to
now.
people.
But are you really like that? Like very talkative, very very outgoing? Because you know, from that context, I'm curious where you get your inspiration from. Because a lot of creatives are very like photographers are very silent because their creative juices are running.
kudo photographers.
But I
Strong
working with
silent
you
type,
for a
ah.
couple of episodes already, like he doesn't even stop talking.
Yeah. That's why we were like, he's a perfect next guest.
I guess it's an outlet for me, because
Mm.
at home, although my family, like our families, we're good, but we're not very talkative.
Mm.
But ako, I can be very talkative, and I can't do that at home, so I let it out on you guys. So you are the
Ah.
victims. You are my outlet of my talkative self.
So you find inspiration from talks with your friends.
Yeah, actually, what the idea of this podcast is also very inspiring to me.
Mhm.
Like, I like to know what people do,
Mhm.
what they do, and why they do it,
Mhm.
and what they can advise to people who want to get into it.
Mhm.
So I'm a very curious person. There's always a hard question to answer. Like, describe yourself in one word. Like, hungry, or I don't know. So I would my my latest my recent safe answer is like, I am curious. I like to get to know people, regardless if whatever background you come from. Like,
Mm.
so if you're a fisherman, like, why? You could be doing something else, but why do you do that?
Mhm.
That's why I actually asked you the question about when you decided to become a photographer. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, you don't just wake up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many professions out there. Like, is it by circumstance that you chose your career? Is it because that's really what you wanted to do? Is there a moment?
Growing up,
Yeah.
again, going back to that question, my first like goal was I want to be an animator. 'Cause I-
so something so
I'm-
creative.
I'm a Disney kid.
Mm.
Yeah.
I watch Beauty and the Beast, and,
Mm.
this Lion King and
Yeah.
Aladdin. Like, I want to draw that,
Mm.
Yeah.
and then I realized I can't draw, so I take pictures instead.
Mm.
And then during events, it's a good feeling. I know this is shallow, but it's a good feeling when people look at you, they smile,
Mm.
Aw.
because you have a
I
camera.
never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very shallow, but it was good
It's not
enough for
shallow.
me.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
Like, every time you point something, smile sila, like, aw.
That's true. I've never.
Sabi na if guwapa, no?
No.
Oh, for sure. I have no idea why it became a niche for me. Maybe because we're friends with Jen. Jen has always been a suki.
Uh,
So She calls me if she needs like, hey, I need a quick video or a quick photo. Like, oh, okay, Jen, where are you? So,
Yeah.
something like that. So when it came to a point na she's really big now, she has her events. Like again, it's about building relationships.
Mhm.
When
Exactly.
when people trust you, like they hopefully they remember your name and then they call you whenever.
And I think that's, I guess, something that I leave as advice for anyone looking to be in the creative industry also, as if I rightfully can advise. But don't make it just like a one-time job. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's like give it your all that one time, go beyond what's expected of you because you're trying to build something more long term.
Yes.
And so just because you don't receive the rewards from it the first time, it will always be noticed by your clients. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I tell my team also.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just about this one time. Like, you know, we're going to extend ourselves, especially in the very beginning, because we need to build that trust. Because once you build that trust and build that relationship with your
Yeah.
clients, it will become more long term. So, of course, imagine like 20 jobs versus one job. Just because you have to sacrifice a little bit more in the
Mhm.
beginning, it's worth the more sustainable career path.
That's true. And going back to what Mitch said also, no, like, why are you like this? Like, why are you so goofy? When I was in my earlier years of photography, I would meet mga photographers. They would be like, so cool,
Sulky.
photographer, like, di sila maduol ba?
Mm.
Like, they're people nga like, unicorns. Like, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hi. So I decided like, maybe you can be a photographer and then you can be fun also. You know, like you're a person too. Just connect.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
almost making the job secondary to you, but making it
The connections first.
yeah.
for you.
So let them like building rapport, but like warm them up first.
Mhm.
So that they'll feel more comfortable, they'll open up more, they'll smile more, they'll make the job easier.
Yeah.
And the easier the job, the earlier you get to get
Finish.
out of there.
Yeah.
Because like we all know that time is like is a luxury we don't have a lot of.
Yeah.
So although you are having fun, you do know that the client also has other things to do.
Yeah.
So just while you're already serving them, might as well give them a good time.
Yeah.
And then they're also getting what they want and they need. So that's what but at least that's what I'm trying to do.
Exactly. See, even today I learned something new about you, Zeke. And you already answered the question I was going to wrap up this episode with.
That's the goal. Always
Which
try to learn
is
something.
how you want to be remembered. And I guess we are going to remember you as Curious
Zeke the
Zeke.
Curious.
Zeke?
Or
Yes.
Curious Zeke.
Curious
Or
Zeke. Should we change our Instagram handle to that now?
Curious Zeke.
I've always wanted to change my
Curious
Instagram handle, but it's too late now.
So Curious Zeke.
Just stick
You
to
heard
that.
it here first. Thank
Curious
you,
Zeke.
Curious Zeke, for being on today's episode of Get a Clue.
A Thinkers Podcast.
There's so much more to dive into, but for now, any last words?
Don't do drugs. Or not, I can't tell you what to do. Don't get caught. Ano na lang.